So I'm with Andy Black from Black Veil Brides, Andy Biersack. I always love talking to him because there's so much to talk about. Like I have
Sure.
to put what you do in categories and be like, okay, he's on tour, so we're going to talk about this today because there's just so much going on. But man, I have to tell you. So Bleeders, we're going to talk about two next level things. Okay. The band I think now is going to this next level. What is it, like 6 studio records in or something? You've got the EP coming.
Sure. Yeah.
We're in a next level situation now, I think, with the songwriting, the just everything that you're doing. Do you feel a shift, a little bit of a shift?
Yeah, I think it's interesting for us because we've always been a band that in the early years it was make a record tour, make a record tour, make like most bands, when you first start. And I was so young when we started that the evolution of the band from record to record, a lot of it was also just finding myself. I was 16 when the band started. So um to be in a position now where I'm 33 and I feel really strong about who I am, not only as a person, but artistically, I kind of know from a writing perspective who I am and what my voice is. It's an interesting time in your career to start to feel like you're really figuring it out. So, it's really exciting. And also, the weird thing for us was we went through a phase where we were kind of on hiatus for a couple of years. Then we came back and then COVID happened. So we had like this kind of truncated release. And we've now been touring steadily, recording steadily for a couple of years, and really kind of figured out what this era of the band is.
And we've got a show coming, by the way, to the Palladium Times Square Theater in New York on Wednesday the 15th. So everybody, I think there's a few tickets still left. I'm always bad with this. So I always say and sometimes, it's sold out and then they release a couple stragglers here and there. So everybody get your tickets because it is a phenomenal show. It always is. Okay. So we're going to talk about Bleeders. Coming off of a 3-song EP, correct? It's very conceptual, obviously. And the video is crazy. It is just, you are Sweeney. It is so incredible. You out look, I saw Sweeney on Broadway like in the 80s, late 80s, maybe late 80s, early 90s, one of the revivals. And
Yeah.
how did I not know it was so freaking metal? It's
No.
so metal. How did I
Yeah.
not know how metal it was?
Yeah. It's interesting for me because I, as a little kid, and we were actually talking about this recently. I was trying to figure out why it entered my life. It's like those things when you find when you're real little, you don't know the exact moment or like why it became. And I think what we figured out is my parents went to go see like a local production in Cincinnati in like the early 90s, mid 90s. And my dad loved the show, and my dad was a musical theater guy. He went to CCM, College Conservatory of Music. He was very much in musicals and singing and everything. So he always loved his particular shows, and one of those was Sweeney Todd. So we had the cast recording record from 1979 in the house, but I don't know why I would have discovered it at like 5 years old or whatever. But I'm guessing it was because they must have been listening to it because they were going to the show or something. But anyway, so I found it, and it was as impactful to me as the first time I found his Kiss trading cards, or like all those sort of the first Batman comic book I got. Like those things all fall in the same sort of pantheon of, oh, this is what I want to do, and I don't even know what this is, but this guy who's got this baritone voice singing songs and sounding angry and wearing makeup and blood and all this stuff, like it just seemed cool to me. So it's always been a part of my life, and I never knew how I would end up utilizing it in some way. And here we are all these years later, at this
Every
point,
box
almost 30
checks. I'm
years
on
later.
Fleet Street. I am on Fleet Street with the
Yeah.
Demon Barber. It's so incredible. So I watched the video for Bleeders, which the song is fantastic. It's so anthemic. It's a battle cry. It's got a giant monster hook. Look, I'm a radio programmer, so we love songs like this. We love these battle cry songs where we're like, I can picture that in an arena and people are going to start singing that. And it has that. And the video is incredible. Jensen is like this guy who I
Yeah.
think is revolutionized videos. He's a guy who's done Ice Nine Kills and Kim Dracula and Bring Me the Horizon and Falling in Reverse. He did the In This Moment, the Purge video, which I love. I became obsessed with that video when it came out. I just kept watching it. He is such a visionary, and you are such a visionary. So you guys working together, What was that like? What was it like for you when you saw this video for the first time?
Well, it's interesting for me because in our career, um, I want to pay a huge debt of gratitude to our new label, Spine Farm, because in our career, a lot of times, and it's not as if we've, struggled to get things made, but a lot of times people don't necessarily. I have a lot of big, crazy visions, right? And a lot of times, no matter how hard I try to show all of my work, it's hard to get people to buy in on, something so grand in scale. And from the
And this is
beginning, I
grand.
knew,
This is
yes,
grand. This
well,
is
I
a
knew
this is
that
the
this had
Sweeney
to be.
Todd movie in a way, encapsulated in a music video. It's incredible.
Exactly. Well, I knew that it had to be, and we had conversations early on about, well, this needs to be, uh it needs to feel like a movie, right? And the guy to go to for that is, of course, Jensen, because as you said, whether it's the Falling in Reverse videos or Ice Nine videos, Motionless, all these videos that you've seen, the most recent In This Moment video, they're incredible works of art. And for me, I directed almost all the music videos that we had done in the last couple of years, and I knew that this was beyond the scope of something that I could create, what I was seeing in my head. And I wanted to be able to go to somebody that would, A, hopefully be receptive to collaborating on a creative end, and B, I knew I could just sort of give my idea to, and then they would make it better. So essentially, what happened was I wrote an early treatment, came up with the ideas for the basic structure of, let's do the Sweeney Todd thing. Here's maybe some ways we could do it. And then Jensen took that and really turned it around on its head, and made all those moments that you see in the video, like the music box utilization, the way in which, the way in which the people are killed with those shots through the eye and all that stuff, like that is all Jensen. And really, him and his team, Phoenix, everybody that works with him, an incredible experience. And I said to myself while we were filming it, um, this is one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of in my whole life. And when we got to see the video for the first time, it just felt like maybe the first time in my whole career that exactly what I saw in my mind's eye was realized. So I'm so happy about it.
And it's perfect because you also, of course, have to include this great Black Veil Bride's performance. And
Yeah.
the way that it is woven into the story, I think it really revitalizes and introduces Sweeney Todd to a whole new generation of people who may not even know what it is. Now, you also cover My Friends, which is a classic. It's like the big classic, it's called like the Sweeney Todd, ballad or whatever, the Ballad of Sweeney. You cover it on the EP, on the Bleeders EP. It's a duet in the show though. So is it a
Mhm.
duet in the cover, or is it just you
No,
in the cover?
one of the things that occurred to me about the song is the duet makes sense to service the story, because you need to be able to be in. It's an opportunity to meet Mrs. Lovett and to get to know who her character is in the context of the story. But the song, I think, actually works a little bit better, as the loneliness of this sort of crazy person singing to weapons, and the isolation of a guy who comes back from having his life derailed, and the only goal is revenge, and so he's going to sing songs to these weapons that he's going to murder people with. It's pretty macabre. If you remove anybody from it and you just have this singular person singing this song, it almost makes it even darker and more grim in tone. So it's a pretty faithful cover. It was one of those things where I said to Jake, we should try to do this. And could you get started on putting together a track, and let's build it? So Jake put together, because the crazy thing about it is, and this is something that I want to say, because I really want to compliment Jake and Jinx on this. The song, like many musical theater songs, is not written in a time signature that makes sense for a rock song. Because a lot of times those songs, the band is following the vocalist live, so it gets faster and slower throughout the course of the song. And for a rock song, generally speaking, you've got time that you're basing things on. So to take that and then build a song around that and have these time changes within the context of the song and still have it sound like Black Veil Bride's doing it, I think is absolutely incredible. And then when you add in all of the orchestration by Jinx, it really was something amazing. So then what we did was, because this was this was one of those things where it was done so kind of out of the blue. It was we had just finished Bleeders and we were so excited about it, but we were about to go back out on tour and we weren't in the studio. So I ended up recording the vocals in Florida where I live, and then sending the session to Jake, and then we built the song long distance kind of together, and I think it turned out really great.
And was their first reaction when you brought this up to them sort of like, what? Or
Well,
did they buy in right away?
I think that they've known me for almost 20 years, so they know most things that I'm gonna suggest are gonna be a little outside the box, and
Challenging. You
they
are a challenging guy.
thankfully
You're
they trust
challenging
me
the
though.
band all the time. Yeah. I love, love, love that. And of course, a cover of U2's Sunday Bloody Sunday, which goes into the whole Bleeders sort of theme, which is so cool. By the way, we get it on June 21st. So we get the whole, EP, the whole 3 songs. And I'm so excited about it because it's just the video is incredible. I cannot wait to hear the cover, and I can't also wait to hear the U2 cover. Now you decided to do something good too, because I heard through the grapevine that you guys were out doing things that involved blood drives and things like that to really kind of give back, which I think is super awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, early on in the process, my manager Blasco, who's been my manager since I was literally a teenager, and he's one of my dearest friends in my life, and one of the people I trust the most. He had gone to a show. He's an LA native, and he grew up in LA. Many people might know he's the former bass player of Ozzy Osbourne. He was in Danzig. He's in Rob Zombie currently. So he grew up, being in metal and always being around rock, and so he went to a Wasp show in the mid '80s at the Whiskey, wherein they did a blood drive, blood donation at the show, and it was this one-off thing, and it had stuck in his mind as this really cool thing. And so years later, we're just having this conversation about, I want to do the Sweeney Todd thing, whatever else, and he goes, "That's we should do the blood drive idea." So we brought it to the American Red Cross, and they were down, and it's been amazing so far. I mean, I don't even know the statistics, but an unbelievable amount of donations so far. And the fan base has been so cool. So to be able to take this very, very gory, crazy concept and give it a little bit of altruism, I think is pretty great.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And that's one of those causes that has been around forever. It's so important. We also partner with a place called Vitalent, and we do these, rock and roll up your sleeve drives all the time. And it's so important to get involved because there's always a blood shortage. There's always a platelet shortage. There's, when you can do something like that, it's so simple and easy to do, and anybody can do it. And I think when a band gets around it, it's just fantastic. I think we did one a couple of years ago with Puddle of Mud, and it was the Puddle of Blood drive, and it ended up just
Sure. Hey,
great.
perfect. There
We
you
just
go.
had so much fun. Yeah, absolutely. So look, I'm so grateful that you're on tour and I had the opportunity to speak with you. I know it's always hard on show day and you're the vocalist and the guy out front. So thank you so much for taking some time. It is always a pleasure. I'm always happy to see your face. You literally are the ageless, timeless. I see people now saying like Andy is a vampire. I'm convinced, not because of, Bleeders, but because he never ages. He's like the portrait of Dorian Gray, literally like your photos up in the attic and that you never age. So you just
Well, people. I guess people have caught on to the blood magic or something, right? No, yeah. We'll see where it goes. Hopefully, they're still saying that. 5 years. I don't want to be the guy. They're like, remember when he used to not look old? So we'll see how that goes.
remember what he used to look like. No, I don't think that that's going to happen to you. Congratulations, by the way, on a new label.
Thank you.
Um, touring and still getting the fans in a frenzy, and we are super excited to have you at the Palladium Times Square Theater. It's such a great place right in the heart of Manhattan to see Black Veil Brides. It's a WDHA Presents show, so we will see you out there on Wednesday the 15th. And Andy, it is
Thank you,
always
Terrie.
so great to see you. Say hi to Lilith for me. I'm waiting for her new record too. I love her.
Will do. Hey, me too. Me too. She's in LA right now working on it. So
I'm
she's
so excited for both of you. Not only two great artists, but inherently two of the nicest people in the music business. So it's just a pleasure to know you both.
thank you. That's so kind. Really appreciate you saying that. And she says hello as well.
Leaders. I love it.